With our containers running on the Kubernetes environment, we're now ready to set them up with some networking so that we can use the applications. We'll start by setting up some load balancer services and cluster IP services. The cluster IP services are going to be used when there's no need for the user to actually access the application, but the other containers need to talk to that application. So like a database or an LDAP directory, for example, backend services. We're going to use a load balancer service where we want the users to be able to access the application. Like our 3 websites, our main website, our PHP admin site, and our PHP LDAP admin site. These load balancer services have the ability to act like web servers, and they can do TLS termination and the other features that a web tier would offer to us. So a user coming in from the internet would have some sort of IP address that's public facing. They would then be able to use that to access the web server or web service that the load balancer is providing. And then the load balancer is going to decide which of the container instances is going to receive that traffic. That could be any one of the 3 in our example that are up and running. As different users use the applications, those users may get sent to whichever container is not busy at the time. The load balancer keeps track of all that. So in our example, we're going to use the kubectl again to be able to do this. And we'll have 5 commands. The first 2 are going to set up those cluster IP balancers. Again, the cluster IP ones are used when there's no need for the user to get at the services. We just need the other containers to be able to talk to those backend containers. And those are for the database and the LDAP directory server. The 3 websites, the main website, the database admin website, and the LDAP admin website, those are all going to use the load balancer type service. And that way we'll have an external IP address that we're going to be able to access those on. We'll run those 5 commands. That'll get the services created. It can take a while for the IP addresses to actually be assigned to the services. We can keep an eye on them using our Google Cloud interface. We can also do that from the command line as well. If we click on the services, we'll be able to see the status of the services. 4 of them are up and running, and we're waiting on the 5th one right now. And the ones that are cluster IPs, they have their internal address already. Again, those are not going to be accessible from the internet. They'll just have that internal address the whole time. These ones that are external load balancers, they're going to eventually get external IP addresses that we'll be able to use in order to access them from the internet. So the website one already has its external address ready to go. We can click on that, and we access the web server that tells us the database is ready to be set up. So we'll click on the link to get the database set up, and the application builds the database, and then we're able to access the website. We're still waiting for the other 2 websites to come online. We've time-lapsed about a minute or 2. We now have external IP addresses for the database admin and the LDAP admin services as well. So we can click on those, and we'll be able to get to those websites from the internet. Also click on the LDAP admin, and those come up as well. Hopefully you enjoyed this video series and it cleared up some of the jargon and the different acronyms and buzzwords that surround containers and container deployments. And you also got a good understanding of how containers code is stored and how the containers are built, and some of the different ways that containers can be deployed for the users.